Alright, peace, Poca Hontas. I hope that you're doing wonderful today. And yes, welcome. I'm very excited to do this reading for you. And as you asked, today I'll definitely be focusing primarily on your fifth house, you know what I'm saying? So we'll be looking at your fifth house, the sign it's in. We'll be looking at any planets you may have in your fifth house. So you have Lilith, right? You have Lilith in your fifth house. And on top of that, we'll also be looking at like your fifth house ruler and where it's at. So first and foremost, you have your fifth house in the sign of Aries, right? But before I even talk about you having your fifth house in Aries, let's kind of touch upon what the fifth house is and what it represents. So the fifth house, well, in astrology you may be aware that the 12 houses each represent a different department of life. The fifth house signifies the department of life that deals with enjoyment and pleasure. You know, it deals with one's activities that deal with entertainment, you know, like how one entertains oneself. And it also deals with sexual romantic endeavor. So like one's sex life, one's dating life. And on another note, because it deals with sexual energies, it also deals with creativity. You know, it deals with one's creative abilities, and simultaneously it also deals with one's offsprings. You know, as our offsprings are extensions of our sexual activities and our creative energies in a sense. So, but just in general, the fifth house can just deal with children in general. As when we think of fun and entertainment and like activities that deal with joy and happiness, we think of kids. You know what I'm saying? Kids are the most playful, the most lost in like their little world of fun and playful energies. You know, so in so many ways the fifth house kind of helps us also understand our innate childlike nature. You know what I'm saying? Okay, first and foremost, you have your fifth house ruled by the planet Mars, right? The planet Mars deals with aggression, passion, and in like Roman mythology, Mars is like the god of war, you know what I'm saying? So Mars is very aggressive and very warlike. Mars deals with the overcoming of obstacles and challenges. Mars also deals with like our ambitions and the things that motivate us and the things that drive us to persist forward, you know what I'm saying? And simultaneously, Mars is considered like a maleficent planet because a lot of the energies it bestows onto us deals with like hardship and trial and like strife and like struggle. And Mars like presents us obstacles, and then it's not so much Mars that presents us the obstacles, but it's like Saturn presents us obstacles, and then Mars, and according to our Mars ability, instills within us like our courage and our fearlessness to, you know, confront and face those obstacles and challenges and overcome them. So Mars's energy very much like motivates us and pushes us towards fighting, you know, and a fight doesn't always have to be literal and physical, you know what I'm saying? But like sometimes we can fight, you know, for things like our health, right? We can fight to stay healthy by like, let's say, being dietarily not intelligent, you know what I'm saying? We can fight for like our finances. So fight is very like, when I say fight, it's not just in the context of physical combat, but it can express through many different lenses in many different ways, you know what I'm saying? And okay, so with you having Mars in the, with you having your fifth house being ruled by Mars and in the sign of Sagittarius, this is an indication that one of the ways that you may find enjoyment and pleasure and ways you may entertain yourself may deal with the combative energies of like fighting, overcoming things, maybe stirring the pot, you know what I'm saying, all that good stuff. And it's kind of this energy, like when we think of Aries, Aries is a sign that deals with like pushing one's sense of being in other people's faces. Like Aries is the sign of ego, you know what I'm saying? The key phrase for Aries is the I am. So it's all about the self, the me, the ego. So it's like in times and spaces where you can exalt yourself and exalt your being, these are spaces where you may find yourself in the most pleasure or in the most enjoyment, you know what I'm saying? When you can be in a space of like either being recognized for your sense of individuality and beingness, or also Aries also, you know, signifies and deals with spontaneous energies, you know, adventuring and going out into the world and kind of being a daredevil and being bold and, like I said earlier, daring, you know what I'm saying? And kind of just living life on the edge and not really be like caring to apply one's intellectual energies of thought, but kind of just going out and enjoying oneself, you know what I'm saying? When you think of Aries, it's important to remember the animal that it's utilized, that is used to signify Aries, is the ram. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about rams is rams are like 80% blind, like 80% blind. You know. So there's this sense of like, and this kind of just reinforces this energy of like running into things blindly, not really. And like this is like fifth house energy where you may find yourself in when you're in a space of wanting to have fun and all that good stuff, you know, kind of doing things out of spontaneity and all that good stuff. Now, simultaneously, you also have Lilith within your fifth house. You know, before we talk about Mars, let's talk about Lilith, because Lilith is a very dominant ruler of the fifth house because it's in your fifth house. So Lilith is the feminine, the darker energies of the feminine. You know, the thing about feminine energy in comparison to masculine energy, the feminine energy is like the energy of the moon, you know what I'm saying? It's like the energy of like darkness, like the unknown and the unseen and the hidden, you know what I'm saying? When we think of like the sun's energy and when we think of day, that's more like masculine and more extroverted, you know what I'm saying? And so whereas the feminine energy is more introverted. So although people say like Lilith is dark energy, truly like feminine energy is the aspect of reality, like in the equation of reality that deals with like chaos and lack of structure, you know, like just free spirited energy. Like when you think of women, right, it's more so that the feminine or the womanly energy is associated with like emotions, right? Whereas the masculine energy is more associated with like cold, concrete, rationalized thought and thinking, if that makes sense. And so with you having Lilith in Aries, this is also an indication that another means of fun for you is like the expression of one's sexual energy, you know what I'm saying? But simultaneously, like this is like, it's interesting because even though Lilith is a feminine planet, right? I mean a feminine asteroid, this asteroid deals with like the domineering energy, you know, like Lilith in a sense deals with like power and control issues, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the story between like, you know, people say that there was Adam and Eve, but then Lilith was also once upon a time a part of the story. And Lilith was kicked out of the garden because she didn't want to submit to Adam, right? But she rather would prefer her sense of she would rather be her own individual and be equals rather than be below Adam. And so in so many ways, like your ability to express your feminine independence is another way in which you can extract and gain like power. But I said power, but I more meant to say pleasure and enjoyment. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you're in that space of like knowing where your power resides as a woman, like as women, of course, a woman's power is beyond her sexual nature, but women can tap into great power, you know what I'm saying, by learning, like the fact that the womb of a woman is so powerful, you know what I'm saying? And even just beyond the womb, but, well, and even just the fact that a woman has a womb, like the energy and the presence that comes with that can be very enchanting and very like mesmerizing. Like I'm talking like seductive energies, you know what I'm saying? Like with you having your fifth house here, it's one of the things that indicates, but I kind of want to look at the aspects real quick that are taking place to your Lilith. Okay, interesting. Okay, so you don't really have many aspects taking place to your Lilith per se, but yeah, pretty much like with the fifth house in Aries energy, because even Aries alone is a sign that deals with sexuality, you know what I'm saying? Because Aries is ruled by Mars, you know what I'm saying? And Mars is the planet that deals with our sexual urges. And so the fifth house, beyond just sexual energy, deals with creativity as well. You know, like it is a house that deals with sex and all that good stuff. But the thing is, in our journey upward, you know what I'm saying, of into evolving into something greater, something beyond an animal, you know what I'm saying? Like one thing that we are faced with is the transmutation of our lower desires, you know what I'm saying? Our animalistic desires, like our selfish, our desires for selfish fulfillment, you know what I'm saying? Like, and one of these desires that we need to learn how to like transform is most definitely the desire of give me a sec. It's most definitely the desire of like the lower nature of sexual expression, you know what I'm saying? Like kind of just wanting to have sex to bust a nut and it not going further than that, but realizing that sex is a very powerful spiritual tool because of all the spiritual layers that come with having sex, you know what I'm saying? Like when you have sex with someone, you guys literally spiritually are binded together, and you guys simultaneously also exchange energies in that present moment of the act. But even after, like after having sex with the person, what happens is like, because you guys like physically you guys are connecting, but it's like in the astral plane, astrally, your two astral bodies have kind of created cores with each other, you know what I'm saying? And now, because the astral body belongs in the mental plane, there's this even after the engagement, there's this continual interaction within the astral plane / mental world where you guys are exchanging ideas and thoughts with one another. And essentially because like the cosmos and the universe is all composed of thoughts, when you are like wisely engaging in the act of sex with a person who like has good intentions with you, and thus the exchange is good, then you guys can like really help each other evolve and transcend. But it's like on the contrary, when you have sex with people that really don't have your best interest or may themselves be negative, then it's like you kind of partake that negativity, you know what I'm saying? And so in like the occult teachings, you know what I'm saying, it is taught that first and foremost there is no repression of sexual energy. It's one of the most powerful urges and drives, you know what I'm saying, that humans experience. But it does talk about like the fact that we have a capacity to transform sexual energy into creative energies. Like if you find yourself just being a person who's always horny, right? You don't always have to release that energy through having sex with someone, but you can release that energy through creation, being creative, um, creating something, if that makes sense. Whether that be like you being in the kitchen and making recipes and cooking, or like you drawing, or you making an art piece, whatever it may be, you know what I'm saying? It can be many, many different ways, many different ways for sure. Okay, but yeah, pretty much like that's like your fifth house in Aries, like creative expressions of energies. But one thing I also talk about is activity. One way you can possibly find ways of entertaining yourself can be through working out, like exercise, working out, exercising, you know what I'm saying? Um, or like just going out on walks, like maybe going hiking, doing things that deal with the releasing of energy through the engagement of some sort of into some sort of activity. You know what I'm saying? Um, okay, yeah. And so another thing with like, you having Lilith in your fifth house could be like learning how to tap into your power as a like, because women have this ability, right, and for lack of a better term, to manipulate men. But it's like if a man is being dumb, right, and like just giving themselves to you and you're in an opportunity where you can manipulate them. This is dark, but we're talking about Lilith, you know what I'm saying? Then it's like maybe try having fun with that as well, you know what I'm saying? And it's never about what you do, but how you do it. It's like if you're a woman who just kind of goes out and looks for men to manipulate, then I feel like you're more likely to accumulate like repercussions of a negative kind to you. But if you're a woman who just finds herself continuously attracting all of these men who it's like men who want to give themselves to you and you have no interest, then it's like there isn't per se a foul in entertaining yourself through through siphoning their energy, for lack of a better term. Like Aries is a very selfish sign as well. So another way of fun, like and entertainment and extraction of pleasure that can come about is like putting yourself first, you know what I'm saying? And seeing like with the Lilith energy, which is like the dynamic of the power and controls within men and women, kind of like seeing like how can I gain control through the utilization of my feminine energy. And knowing that you're working with the darker force because you're working with Lilith, but also understanding that because every single person on this planet has the same planetary alignments as you, these planetary alignments are not per se to be judged and for us to separate from, but they're more so put there for us to learn how to use them in it with more wisdom, you know what I'm saying? With more wisdom, I feel like I'll say. And so with you having your ruling planet by sign, because Lilith rules your fifth house because it's literally in your fifth house. But Mars rules your fifth house because Mars is like the sign that rules the sign Aries. I mean, Mars is the planet that rules the sign Aries, you know what I'm saying? So first and foremost, with Mars being in Pisces, right, there it is. With Mars being in Pisces, it amplifies the fact that like in the pursuit of one's enjoyment, like it's in Pisces in the third house. So Mars is in Pisces in the third house. So it's like education and learning is of a great importance. It's definitely one lens you can tap into to learn how to entertain yourself more. But simultaneously, because we're talking about Mars, we're talking about the fifth house, this can even be like tapping into books that deal with like sexual topics and concepts, you know, like in order for you to educate yourself and learn more about your sexual urges and your sexual needs and etc. as a human being, as a woman, you know what I'm saying? Like that can definitely be like a lens that can help bring to you more like a sense of exaltation or a sense of like pleasure or entertainment into oneself. But simultaneously, with Mars being in the third house, you know what I'm saying, in the sign Pisces, this can even be an indication of like learning and educating on yourself on things that can help expand your imagination, you know what I'm saying, and also your spirituality, because Pisces is a very spiritual sign. Getting books that deal with like the spiritual plane and the spiritual world, and not only that, but like learning those things, and then because Mars is a planet of motivation and ambition, you know what I'm saying, so taking books and about things like spirituality and studying them, but with the awareness of like wanting to apply the concepts that are given to you in the books, you know what I'm saying? Because Mars is all about action and execution and all that good stuff. It's like learning about certain things in the spiritual realm and then actually executing it. Or even like developing skills that deal with Piscean energies. So Piscean energies would be like things like having the capacity to connect with others, having the capacity, and like having the capacity to connect with others plays out in so many different ways. Because an example of Pisces energy would be like Reiki, you know what I'm saying? A person who knows how to perform Reiki. Or even like a counselor or a psychologist, you know, someone who knows how to walk someone through their unconscious mind, like that messy area of themselves. You know, even that is very Piscean, you know what I'm saying? And Mars, Mars in the third house. Mars and Pisces in the third house can even be an indication of like one way to increase one's joy from life and, you know, pleasure and entertainment gained from life can be like through the tapping into the community and connecting, because the third house deals with community, you know what I'm saying, and Pisces deals with connecting, and Mars kind of deals with ambition and motivation. So kind of being aware that one of the ways that you are motivated is in that realm of giving to your community one way or another, you know what I'm saying. So that can also be another way of fun, you know what I'm saying, finding ways in which you can give to your community. And maybe not always from the perspective of benefit, but sometimes from the perspective of like charity and like just welfare, just helping for the sake of the community's welfare, you know what I'm saying? Because Pisces is a sign that deals a lot with charity and giving. You know, of course, it doesn't always have to be being given. I mean, you giving, but it can also be like you receiving as well. Yeah, for sure. But so like maybe engaging in the community in voluntary actions where like maybe you're helping the youth or you're helping the elderly or whoever, that possibly can even be a lens through which you can exalt the amount of enjoyment and pleasure and just joy in general you gain from life. But yeah, pretty much like the fifth house, those are the things that it deals with and it signifies, you know what I'm saying? If you have any more questions, definitely message me and let me know and I can answer any of them. But this has definitely been your reading. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And yeah, I do hope to dive deeper into your chart with you. For future readings, we can definitely do them on the phone. You know, of course, we were previously trying to do that, but just due to schedules, we weren't able to. But I'm in a more stable place right now. My schedule is not as chaotic as it was previously, so yeah, for sure, we should definitely be able to do future readings via phone calls and all that good stuff. But yeah, peace and namaste.